the whole point is that creating of psychological anchors. Okay, that what you do is when you create a psychological anchor, you in this case, the National Enquirer article would be a psychological anchor where you've got 5 mistresses, possibly some prostitutes. They talk about maybe 3 more mistresses. I mean, the story is so big and so outrageous, okay, that they set that anchor in everybody's mind, okay? So when the real story comes out, that maybe Ted Cruz was having one affair with somebody and he got found out by his wife, and then maybe they kind of patched things up and so on and so forth. That when that story finally comes out, it doesn't seem so bad because we've got this anchor in our minds of all these multiple affairs.
Right.
Okay. Right. And then what tipped that operative off to that was something that Glenn Beck said, because Glenn Beck said, if everything in this National Enquirer article is true, then I'll abandon Ted Cruz. I give up on him. But, if he had one affair and his wife forgave him, then I'm okay with that. Aha!
He basically gave it away.
So and that was the message.
That was my point. That was my point, that he basically gave it away, which is why I truly believe, that Jeff Rowe was behind this. The operative goes on to say, he goes, before this is about him meeting, Jeff Rowe tells a story about meeting Ted Cruz initially. He says, before he met Cruz, I think the story was how he talked Cruz into going with him. Remember that story that Rowe was parked in Cruz's office and waited forever to get like a 15-minute interview. Then Cruz met with him for 15 minutes and ended up canceling all his appointments and meeting one-on-one with Rowe for hours, and came out and announced him as his campaign manager. So I think what he goes on to say is that basically Rowe convinced him. He said, listen, it was kind of like a blackmail, wasn't a blackmail. He said, listen, everybody knows this story. This is the way we're going to go about it. And he liked the fact that he had a plan to go forward with this quote unquote sex scandal. That's what the operatives. Go ahead.
And one other thing, we're talking a lot. What we're seeing is politics as usual. Do you think any of this would shock the American people of all these things going on? No, it wouldn't. But let me give you one parallel that's very interesting. In a National Enquirer, one of the call girl during the interview said that, well, there's been several politicians that have called me before. Okay, go back to Benghazi. Go back to everything else. That is at the heart of why they don't want Trump. The reason why nobody's been convicted of anything, the reason they get away with everything from Fast and Furious and all the other scandals, they have dirt on each other. Now, you bring in Trump, they don't have that leverage.
Right.
So they know everything about Cruz. Do you think they don't know about this? That Washington Post reporter was the only one that knew? Heck no, he's not. There's a lot of people up there that know, and they've got a card to play in this and say, Cruz, we got your back because you know about ours too.
Right.
Trump don't have that leverage card.
Right. Yeah, so you're listening to the Silent Majority here on the Rebooting Liberty Hotline. I have Daniel Lindsay, and my co-host for the day is Bill Mitchell. Before I go back to Bill, the operative goes on to say, he goes on to say, this is a quote, so there was this affair and it's over. Going back, he's talking about how, what Bill stated before, how, this is going to be like a nothing burger, so to speak, because it's going to come down to maybe 2 affairs that he had. And like the anchor states, the whole anchor theory is that, quote unquote, it was 5. And like, Bill referred to, he says, this is going to be nothing compared to what the initial scandal was about. But he goes on to say, this woman can't work for Ted. We're talking about why the donation was done. The $500,000 grant to Carly Fiorina's super PAC. He goes on to say, this woman can't work for Ted Cruz anymore, obviously, but she's a political strategist. They make all their money in the presidential election. So come 2015, she gets a job with Carly Fiorina. She's not really a Carly girl, but Cruz needs some control over her. So the Cruz Super PAC sends $500,000 to the Carly PAC. The Carly PAC does some stuff that the Carly campaign would otherwise have done, freeing a budget to pay the woman. So what do you think about that part of his theory?
Did she get? Did they name this woman? Do you know? We know the name of this woman that they're talking about here.
Yeah, what's the name?
No,
I thought they named it.
It wasn't official.
No, what?
No, they have. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Daniel. You speak.
Well, no, the ones that came out, some of them again going back to Amanda Carpenter, about the Sarah.
Right.
The call girl is in Texas right now, and actually now leaving and running. But she named another girl that's a friend of hers that she's saying right now they're all scattering via the Hillary Clinton
doing the work for Carlos Arena.
Right, that's Sarah.
Sarah, what's Sarah's last name?
Sarah Flores.
Sarah Flores, okay. Because I heard that she's now. I read somewhere that she is. Everybody else seems to be denying it, but we haven't heard any denials from her. Is that correct, or did I mishear that?
No, there's been no denial. There's been very few denials. Period. Everything has been tabloid. This is garbage. This is this. But as far as anybody coming out, you guys mentioned lawsuits. There's a lot of ways you can. We just saw what happened with Gawker. There's a lot of ways to fight this and kill it right now. If it's BS,
right.
They can kill it right now. But the fact that they're not, it's really, it speaks volumes to what's going on.
Yeah, I think the operative goes on to state, regarding why they haven't come out and to the public and denounce or denied these allegations. He goes on to say, so this woman was outed, and she's a public figure and has mentioned nothing about this thing, nothing on Twitter, nothing on her Twitter feed. I don't know if she's done any interviews, but as of this afternoon, zero denial, even a mention of anything. She's still tweeting anti-Trump stuff and pro-Fiorina stuff, but that's it. So what he's trying to say, he goes on further in the interview to say that maybe they are waiting till after Wisconsin because he was saying that now she's married. This particular person is married. She's been married for about 2 years now, and if this was an old fling, that the husband, her current husband, knows about it, and he's like he knows about it because of the leak to National Enquirer, and he's kind of like pressing her to come out and talk about it or deny it, so to speak. But they're waiting till after the Wisconsin primaries to do so. Again, it's all theory, but.
Oh yeah,
well, Go ahead, Bill.
Go ahead,
Bill.
No, I was just gonna say real quick. the whole media meme on this thing is that the talk about the wives and the talk about the sex scandal. If you listen to Fox News, this is killing Trump's support. People are running away from Trump like from a burning building on this. His polls are plummeting. Well, I got news for you. His polls are not plummeting; they're going up. The NBC News just came out with a new poll today, and Trump's at 49% and Cruz is at 27%.
Right.
That's a 22-point lead. That doesn't seem like a collapse to me.
Yeah.
Trump just did his. I think Cruz did a rally yesterday or the day before in Wisconsin. There were like 15 cars in the parking lot. Trump just did a rally tonight. I mean, it was a mob scene.
Right. Daniel. Yeah, Daniel.
I mean, Trump has got tremendous support.
Yeah, Daniel. Before we let you go. What do you think is going to happen going forward? Do you think that ultimately some more news is going to come out regarding the scandal, or you think it's just going to be once they find out that blaming Donald Trump for this sex scandal isn't going to make a difference, and they're just going to let it go? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't think they're going to play the blaming Donald Trump. I know they are now. It's not going to, because people that are voting for Trump, we've already seen this, they're not going anywhere.
Right.
Now, the interesting question, and I'll leave this to you guys to discuss, but the interesting question is, what is the motive of Ted Cruz? You should ask Ted Cruz these questions, because here's the interesting point.
Right.
When Ted Cruz got in, his thing was South Carolina. You remember he said, when we get to South Carolina, we're going to do it.
Right.
When he lost South Carolina, he brushed it off and said, when we get to the SEC states, that's where I'm going to make my comeback.
Mm-hmm.
When he lost all the SEC states, Listen, he doesn't need 87% of the delegates. He's counting 87%. He would have to win New York and New Jersey. He needs closer to 94%. Now, from the whole time that he was bashing the establishment with Trump, the whole time he was doing that, now if you look at it, the only way he gets elected is if the establishment, who he spent 5 months bashing, gives it to him. So the question I would ask a Ted Cruz supporter is, are you in favor of the establishment having a role in your candidate's success when the people didn't?
Yep.
That's a question that I would love to have Cruz supporters answer.
Right. Well, Bill,
you have to ask that 3 or 4 times so they get what you're really getting at, because that's a very important point you make.
Yeah,
it's a very important point that you make.
Well,
and
go ahead, Bill.
No, I mean, I honestly believe that Ted Cruz has been an establishment guy from the start. You know, I think that he's just, he wasn't an outsider. He just played an outsider on TV,
Right.
because he wasn't getting where he wanted to in the Republican Party by being an establishment guy. So he went outsider and competed for a Senate seat and took the seat and pissed everybody off. But he's always been an establishment guy at heart. I mean, his wife's establishment. All of his donors are establishment. The guy's establishment, man.
Oh, listen, you're talking about, you're talking about donors. He has 4 super PACs. You know who his biggest donors are? New York hedge fund magnate Robert Mercer, who gave $11 million. I think he partially bought Breitbart for $11 million. Okay. Then you have, Toby, Nortenberger. He's a Puerto Rican-based investor who is the son of the Texas Republican Randy, Neuenberger. Then you have his third super PAC is, they gave $15 million. The Texas billionaire brothers Francis and Dan Wilkes gave $15 million to a super PAC. And if you recall, Dan Wilkes, they own, I think it's the Daily Wire, which is run by Ben Shapiro. And then his fourth super PAC, also a Texas donor, Robert McNair, senior chairman and CEO of the Houston Texans, he gave $1.8 million. So as you can see, he's going to owe a lot of favors when he becomes president, is what I'm trying to say.
I'll just end it with, I'm going to end this with this so I can get off. And again, I appreciate both you guys for having me on. It's an amazing show and honor.
No problem.
But I'm going to end it with this. This is something that Cruz people in America, sooner or later, we got to get this in our head. We got to get it in our head quick. The real enemy is Hillary Clinton. When Cruz people call your show, and when you hear Glenn Beck and all these people saying, "I'll vote for Hillary Clinton" or whatever, that is just sacrificing the nation.
Right.
And at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton is the real enemy behind all this.
Right.
And Cruz fans, and the one thing I'm so proud about Trump supporters and Trump, we don't bash Cruz supporters. We don't do that. I know they like to do it, but we don't do that. We want them to come to our side because at the end of the day, Hillary is the one that has to go down.
Right.
And Cruz fans need to get on board.
Right.
So,
well, I want to thank you, Daniel, Lindsay. I want to thank you for calling into the show. Don't make it, I want you to be a regular here. Can you give out your Twitter account so people can follow you on Twitter?
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it's actually the 3 things liberals hate the most: God, guns, and Trump. Real simple.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on my show, brother.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. You listen to The Silent Majority. I'm your host, Chris, and my co-host for the night is Bill Mitchell. We're going to pick up this call now. We're going to get to the call boards now. I want to pick up Sharon. Sharon from Ohio. Welcome to The Silent Majority.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi. I want to start a women's group for Trump.
Okay.
Because he's being told, everyone's being told women don't like him. And they're trying to make him as a bad guy when it comes to women.
Okay. What do you think about that, Bill?
Yeah, he's got I've got a ton of my followers are women. Women love Trump.
I know, but the media is coming off as saying that we don't like him. He's got problems with us, and we have to stop this narrative.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because
but liberal women don't like him.
it's interesting because this is this is what I mentioned in my opening. If you listen to mainstream media, they will have you believe that Donald Trump caused Ted Cruz to have the sexual affairs, and that now the Donald Trump